Hello everybody, welcome back to part 4 of my video series, Liberation of Hyrule Insanity's Extreme. And today, can you guess what fortress I will be doing today? Is it fortress number 5? I don't think so. Maybe it's fortress number 9. You know, I don't need my Triforce to do that fortress. If you guessed 3, yes, you are correct. You are a very good guesser. I should pat you on the back and reward you with nothing. So, anyways, that's the entrance to Fortress 3 right there in Armos Village. That's what I like to call that place anyways, because there's Armoses everywhere. Excuse me. So, this, the first part of this level is just another little series of boss fights, and I don't think any of these are particularly hard. This one actually requires the most patience, just because the Goma has to be in just the right position with its eye open before you can kill it. And this battle can either go by really fast, or it can last quite a while, just due to the nature of the fight. But it's right next to the beginning of the dungeon, so if you want to be a little risky and get yourself killed, the punishment isn't so hard since you just walk right there. That's true for all these fights, because each time you defeat a guy, the boss is permadead. Sorry, my throat is a little... I just ate dinner and that's my excuse. Ha ha ha. Well, regardless, this next part is fighting a Oval Petra with falling rocks. This is very familiar to those who have played the first Liberation of Hyrule, because this was the major boss of the fortress, only instead of there being 2 of them, there's just 1. But I only have 3 hearts and the wooden sword, so there I go. This one's not too hard. Fighting big circle patchers are pretty straightforward. The only real hard thing is the falling rocks. Personally, I like to be near the top of the screen, because if I go to the bottom of the screen, I tend to get hit like you just saw me. If you're at the bottom of the screen, you can better anticipate where the boulders are gonna go and plot your move, but if the boulders move the wrong direction, you're more likely to get hit. Whereas if you're near the top of the screen, once you dodge the boulder, you don't have to worry about it ever again. And I find it easier to dodge the boulders when you're at the top of the screen. That's just not the very, very top, but kind of a little bit past the halfway point. So that battle is done. Don't have much else to say about that. I'll only say get healed by the Fairy Queen right there. So I just fought a big circle Petra, not big circle, an oval Petra. Now I'm fighting a big circle Petra, and this room looks just like that room in Fortress 2 with the BS Petra. Yes, I may have 1 more heart, but I'm gonna be honest, even with that, even if I only had 2 hearts in this room, I still feel that this room is less difficult than the BS Petra. I died significantly less here than I did in the BS Petra room. Probably because when the Petra spreads its circle out, it does cover a wider area. When its circles are closed in, the area is a lot more narrow, and I find that you can hit a lot more of those little critter guys when they're close in like that. And plus, when they spread out like that, it's easier to hit. You can also hit them easier than when the BS Petra does its little weird maneuvers with its little Petra guys. Excuse me. I have something in my throat and it's not fun. guy's about to say goodbye. Still have to be careful of those shooters, but for some reason I don't find them to be as annoying here as the BS Patra. Also, you know, since the BS Patra is so much larger, it always covers a much larger portion of the screen than the Big Circle Patra does. So, in terms of difficulty, I felt that, me personally, I feel that Fortress 2 should have had the Big Circle Patra, and this one should have had the BS Patra. But, I digress. This is another very familiar room for those of you who played the first Liberation of Hyrule game. Because there's a room just like this in Fortress 2 with 3 Pulse Voices, and you had 4 hearts. Now, you have to fight 4 Pulse Voices with 3 hearts, so yeah, you have that going for you. The trick to fighting Pulse Voices is don't walk toward them like I'm doing right now, because that's very, very dangerous. You want them to go toward you. That way you can just swing your sword, move a little bit backward, swing your sword, move a little bit backward, swing your sword, move a little bit backward, end of story. And you never, ever want to be above them when they are moving vertically, because then they can just all of a sudden jump up and get you for no reason. Other than that, the other trick for this one is dodging the boulders. Yes, there is a little bit of luck to it. Like, I just got screwed there. But for the most part, if you do it right, you can fairly consistently dodge those boulders. So this next part is actually one of my favorite fights in the whole game. Can you guess what that is? You have until I reach that top room to guess. And 3, 2, 1. Here it is! It's 10 Dark Nut ones on ice. Tune in, kids, to Dark Nuts on Ice, performed by Link and Dark Nuts. So, this is the first of the major Dark Nut battles in this game, and the easiest of the major Dark Nut battles. Despite the ice gimmick, that's still not too hard. This is actually on my 3rd attempt to do this. But this room and the other Dark Nut fighting rooms will test your skills to do the 90-degree sword slash trick on them. So you have to have that trick mastered, as I mentioned back in my first Fortress 1. Otherwise, you're just gonna die and not be happy at all and complain and all that fun stuff. Well, this battle's not going to last too much longer. Flawless victory. So you get the infamous red candle there. In my opinion, by far one of the most powerful items in Zelda Classic. But for not for what it is normally used for to light up a room, but because you can hurt yourself. You'll see me use it to avoid some obstacles later on. So I call this the Hall of the Red Candle, and you'll see soon enough that you have to use the red candle to survive this part. I think these rooms are pretty cleverly done. And this one is quite a nerve-wracking room. I advise to only have one fire flame out at a time, and right when the fire is about to end, shoot the other one out. You can get, depending on how the Octoroks move, you can get screwed, but for the most part, with good self-control, you could do that room pretty successfully most of the time. So, you won't see me go on to the left to get the power glove, You will later on, but right now, in order for me to get that power glove, I would have to sacrifice my bait, my roast beef, my steak, my pork chops, whatever you want to call them. It's anything that does not taste like chicken. Actually, I really like chicken, but that's nevertheless. Just like the first game, I have to earn 255 rupees to get items I need to continue on with the quest. And this game does it in quite a clever way. Going this direction, I can only use my items. And there are some rooms where the bait makes those rooms much easier. They actually turn hard rooms into easy rooms. So, if I had chosen the power glove, there are rooms that I can spend rupees to refill my hearts. And there are some blocks blocking blocks blocking the less expensive healing station. But with the bait, I really don't get hurt in some of those rooms, and I can earn a lot more money that way. So that's how I chose to do this area. Pardon me. Again, there's something in my throat, and it's not fun. But this is the first of those rooms that you see me use the bait. Those Goyen 2s can be quite a pain to deal with. And I take care of these guys with the candle. And by that time, the bait goes away, but you just put another one up, and you freeze them with the boomerang, and you say, hey, you can't eat your meat raw, you gotta cook it. Don't want salmonella poisoning. Haven't you learned from Fortress 2? And they died because they got salmonella poisoning. That is not fun. And this is the second room that you use the bait. Preferably you use the bait, and I didn't do this right away, and I should have. I tried to kill the fire gels with my fire, because that makes perfect sense, but you really want to just use your bow and arrow to kill out those fire gels quickly and control the room with the bait and kill the rest of the guys with your fire. So this room I made unnecessarily tedious, but I get the job done. Luckily, all these guys wanted to join me for a party, and they said, hey, blow out the candle! Happy birthday! And happy birthday to you as well. I actually ran into that fire. Silly of me. But after there's a lot less guys, this room's a lot... I pretty much have things under control here. Just like Fortress 3 in the first game, there are gamble rooms. And, you know, I skip the rooms this time around. When I go through the sword-only path, you will not see me skip those rooms, because I need it. I almost died there. I screwed up pretty bad there. You get to see what I mean by the block and the money. And no, it does not cost 1 rupee to refill your life all the way, like that block indicates. It lies to you. I think it's a script, but what it does is the more hearts it has to refill, the more rupees it spins. So if you are only missing 1 heart, it's going to cost significantly less. Whereas if you're missing 3 hearts, and well, I only have 3 hearts, but 2.5 hearts, it would cost significantly more. And that's true for all the dungeons in this game, and it only gets more and more and more expensive the further in you get. So that's an interesting little mechanic that James put in. That room I just cleared out's a little bit trickier too, because none of the enemies are attracted to the bait. Unlike this room. This room goes from impossible to really easy with the bait. And because I had the bait, I'm able to get quite a bit of money. And I have what I need, so I just ditch these guys in the final room. And now, I get to have bombs. Hooray! But, instead of doing the other side of the sword only, I'm going to go to Fortress 4. So, see you next time. Hasta la vista, bebe.